Okay, Michelle, I have two questions.
Sure.
The first question, and you mentioned Facebook, and there are many social media platforms out there where people can ask questions. Now, there are some people that come to me, and I'm sure they end up on our Facebook page, where they have asked a question and they are not really that sure of the answer. There are people that give advice who know somebody that takes LDN, and that person has told them, they don't actually have any personal experience, or giving medical advice, which is a complete no if you're not a medical professional. So what would you say about somebody who is trying to wade through all the conflicting information on social media to find the correct answer? What would you say?
Well, that is the $1 million question, right? It is, you're right. There are tons of information out there. And I don't even think that's an understatement. I mean, there really is a ton of information. And because low-dose naltrexone is being prescribed for that individual is going to have a very different response than even their identical twin, quite honestly. And there's so many reasons why. We answer questions about fillers. Well, this filler is great, but this one is better, and this one you should never use. Well, that isn't necessarily true either, because again, when we're dealing with individuals, it really has to do with that professional relationship between the prescriber and the pharmacist and the patient. That is what is most important. Anytime you ask a general question anywhere out there on social media, you're going to get 100,000 plus answers. Are any of them right? Yeah, some of them are. Are any of them wrong? Yep, a lot more of those are wrong. It's really developing those relationships and understanding where that individual or that organization is coming from. What is their mission and their vision to educating the population, and where is their sources coming from? In other words, good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. So if somebody has a poor response, well, why did they have a poor response? I mean, they may state exactly why, but is that the only reason? I mean, there could be a lot of other pieces underneath that. So when someone says, I have X issues, will LDN work for me? Probably. 100% of the time, hard to know, because LDN doesn't work for 100% of the people out there. I mean, most of the compounding pharmacies are running around an 80-85% success rate, but that's only because they're very careful about how they individualize that therapy for that patient and working directly with that prescriber. So fillers might be different. The capsule, what it's made out of, might be different. The liquid base might be different. Do we use sweeteners? Do we use flavors? A lot of different things. When lay individuals, when the general public starts to give advice, I'm sure that's only under the best intentions. I don't believe a lot of people are answering questions maliciously. At least I hope not. I mean, that's terrible. But again, they're the general public. Are they well informed? A lot of people really are, because they've really had to advocate for themselves. And I'm sure this happened with you as well. When you have a disease state and you're just not getting answers, you're not making progress. You bounce from one doc to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and you're on this medication and that medication. And pretty soon you've got this laundry list of medications. You're toting around this huge bag and you still don't feel any better than you did 15 years ago. You have to learn, you have to educate yourself. So make sure that whatever sources you seek have their mission and vision very well stated, and that they are unbiased, that they are providing the best quality information possible that they've got a lot of great education behind them, that they're very well studied, and that you ask additional questions. Sometimes the first question is pretty general, but then you got to follow it up with a bunch of other questions. So for example, this one we see on the LDN Trust all the time. It's usually about fillers. You know, is microcrystalline cellulose or the brand name Avicel, is that the best filler for a capsule or even a tablet? Well, the majority of the time, yeah, it's great. It's considered inert. Does it work for everybody? Nope, not 100% of the time. So that's where the flexibility has to come in to, again, work with that individual to make sure that low dose naltrexone is going to work for that individual under these circumstances. It really is about education and making sure that they're very well informed.